Right, hello. Sorry, been a bit of delay from the last video because I'm down with COVID. I'm getting better, but God, it's not a good one, is it? That thing's still around. And yeah, it's pretty foggy, so I'm not sure how long I'll last on this video, but I'll share what I can. And I'm also at that 3-month juncture where I started the plan at the start of the year to make more content, and want to have a kind of look at how that's gone and where we are now at March. So we're at end of Q1, coming up to the end of it. Where is everything at with AI in movie making? What's possible, what's not possible, and kind of conclusions I'm coming to. And it's not informing me yet, but it's going to inform me over the next couple of weeks about where I go from here, because there's some problems with it that are proving insurmountable at this stage, and it's a question of whether to keep nibbling away at it, knowing that it might not be solved for a while, or to just park it and come back when it is solved. It will be solved eventually in the open source world. I'm not sure it is, and even in I'm not sure it even is in subscription world, to be honest, and we'll talk about that. But as always, I'm going to have to give you a load of workflows, because otherwise you wouldn't even bother watching. And yeah, I'm going to give you my basically the set of 3 workflows that I use to make all the videos that I make at the moment. And I'm now using LTX 2.3. I've tested it fully enough to know, yeah, it's better. Is it great? Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's great compared to everything else, and it's better than version 2, but there's still a lot lacking. Character consistency, difficult. I've discovered it's got problems with running audio in as lip sync. It sometimes just won't do it. I've changed my working practice to cater to that, so it's fine, but it's also kind of like, well, that's a bit annoying. And I'm on to a third thing here. What I'm doing is a vampire, a Hammer House style, inspired, I should say, rather than styled. A Hammer House inspired vampire story, and I've decided to go with that because the last time I showed you anything was back when I was doing Great Southern Land, which I told you was a book that I'm trying to convert, and I kind of parked it after the opening scene, because the opening scene gives me a good enough idea to know what my characters are going to look like, or one of them or 2 of them. Gives me a good enough idea to get a feel for where I can go with the story visually, and it gives me a good enough idea to know, can AI handle this? And the answer is no, in most cases, I'll be honest. So since it was a book that's very important to me that I was trying to convert, I was like, okay, I don't want to touch this now. I'll wait till AI is better and I'm better at making stuff. So I parked that. That was Great Southern Land. If you watch my early videos, start of this year, you'll see that. So the next thing I did, which I didn't show you too much of, was an idea I had for a sci-fi, and I'm not a big fan of sci-fi, which was partly why I did it, because I wanted to see what I'd do with it, and that was interesting for that, but it wouldn't have interested you guys, and I didn't want to bore you with it like I'm boring you now. But so I've finished the opening sequence of that, and it was still with LTX 2 at that moment, and they ran into lots of problems, like making planets look real was really difficult. I don't know if it's the models or whether it was me. And then all the problems with people and high quality you need for sci-fi, I started running into. I was like, oh my God. So I switched again. Now I finished the opening sequence of all that, and I might show it you. So in fact, I probably will. At the end of this, I'm going to put what I got to so far with Great Southern Land, and I'll run what I got to so far with a series I was calling 8, which is the sci-fi thing, as in the number 8, not as in 8 something. And this, which now, I wasn't a huge fan of Hammer House stuff at the time, but honestly, looking at it now, go and watch some. I was based this one off Vampires 1974, which is quite a soft porn one, which I kind of also was tempted by, because I don't usually do the NSFW stuff, but there's an aspect of it, and I'm a believer. I'm a great believer in sex in movies should be treated like very high, powerful spice, chili. You don't want it blown in your face or up your nose or anywhere else for that matter. And it's like you need to be very careful with how much you put on there, because otherwise it's just off-putting. And I worked in porn, so I know what I'm talking about. And it's one of the things, the rules we had back in those days was actors can't do porn and porn stars can't act, and it's very true. And it's not just because of their skills; it's because the two do not cross. It's like pouring oil on water or water on oil, or whichever way you want to try it. Just don't try and mix them. And I really wish Netflix and that would learn this lesson, and they don't. So they're constantly trying to shove this sort of stuff. But anyway, but the point being, it's time for me to kind of go, okay, well, where does my use of NSFW come in? And I've already been challenged by it in this one, but there was the thing. I'm getting distracted again, but one of the reason I went with this was because it offers everything. Vampires allow you to get kind of sci-fi with stuff and get a bit wild with the ideas. There's a bit of dialogue. The 70s Hammer style is everyone gets what it is. So it's shit acting, it's shit visually, but it's got an aesthetic and it's got a vibe, and people accepted that. So the problem with AI at the moment is it's basically shit, and stop pretending that it isn't, because it is shit. You cannot make a good movie with it. And you go and look at Seed Dance and what everyone's doing with it. It's all action and trailers and music videos. You are not getting human interaction. You're not getting very good dialogue interaction, and it's not believable. It all looks like AI. Fantastic visuals, fantastic action, fantastic VFX, but it's shit for storytelling because it looks like AI, and I don't think it's going to change this year. And I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I won't be, because it's really difficult to do, and that's also what I'm discovering. And one of the reasons why I'm toying with the idea of stepping sideways with this. But for now, I'm gonna keep working on this idea, and I'll show you as far as I've got to with it, and I'm going to show you some of the problems, and I'll play the full thing of this one for you now, as far as I've got, and then we'll talk through it. And so far, I've already talked for 8 minutes, but hey. Now, maybe in another video or in a video for the paid Patreon members, I will share greater details on the use of the workflows, but I'm really going to give you those set there of workflows from this, and talk about why I use them. So there's 4. I don't really use that necessarily unless I have to. The first one, we'll talk through them in a bit. But anyway, yeah, let me show you. I really work in the output folder for the most part, and if you know how I work from seeing other sets, I tend to work with this kind of naming convention, and it's the best way to manage it. And it can change. It follows a rough pattern, but it can change to allow me to add in new shots, which is what's been going on here. And at the moment, I keep it all in the one output folder, and then just manage it as I go. And what I've got in here is the opening sequence. So let me show you where it's got up to. You may laugh, I certainly do. It's as good as it can get at the moment. Let's go.
The headlines. Arsenal beat Sheffield United 3-2 to strengthen their grip on the championship. At Twickenham, the Australian Wallabies beat England by 11 points to 0. And there's another Test match century for the great Don Bradman. Our Sports Report headlines today. Arsenal's slide continues. A goalless draw at home to Queen's Park Rangers keeps them in third place. Liverpool are foiled at last, but it's rain that beats them at Derby. Celtic's Frank McAvenny scores twice, past 2 Rangers keepers, as Celtic win the Old Firm rematch. And the rest win the trial at Twickenham to confuse the selectors, but no such problems for the Scots at Murrayfield.
What are these two up to?
Barclays League Division 1. Arsenal 0, Queen's Park Rangers.
2 Rangers keepers.
What are you two wandering about dressed like that for in this weather?
And the rest win the trial at Twickenham.
You'll catch your death of cold.
But no such problems for the
Can I give you a lift?
at Murrayfield. But one thing never changes on Sports Report. The classified football results are always the next item. They're read, as they've been for the last 13 years, by James Alexander Gordon.
Where can I take you then, ladies?
It's not far. Turn here.
You can come in if you like. Maybe then we can thank you properly for the lift.
It's supposed to be somewhere. But why not? What harm could it do, hey?
Anyway, that's as far as I've got. There's some things to talk about with this. I want to go through it. Let me just cut the sound out. Actually, I might do it on this. But I've got to watch out for that sound. Yeah, I'll add it different. Oh, I can't turn the volume off. I forgot about that. Something I've got to fix. Okay, so lots of things to talk about. Well, you know, it's like I'm saying, I've spent a couple of weeks on this and a lot, you know, plenty of hours, and most of my time is spent going back and forth, editing first and last images. I'm mostly rotating around these workflows, which I'll share more for the paid out Patreon guys. But we'll share to you for free to use, so you'll kind of see where it goes. There's an image one where I'll just put the text in to get it off a single image. There's the last frame, first frame, last frame one where I've got both images, the start and the end. I tested some last frame, middle frame, first frame, last frame, first frame, middle frame, last frame, and they don't really honour the middle frame as well. So another problem with character consistency is due to that. And we've got the upscaler here. So these are the mainstays. I'll use that or that, 1A or 1B generally. And then almost all of them go through, in fact all of them go through the upscaler where it's 2 upscalers in LTX, and that's pretty good, that one, and you can use the first frame and last frame as reference as well as the video that upscales, and it's pretty good. And then if I have problems with that, which I did in quite a few of these, especially when people are slightly at a distance, then I will run it through the USDU, which is the Ultimate SD Upscaler, which is brilliant, and you can use it with WAN. So that gives us access to WAN, and in the coming weeks I am going to test going back to WAN for creating the initial structure. And one of the things to point out about what I do and the way that I do it is the first shots I don't do, I go for this size. I'm actually doing a widescreen size now. I'm finding it slightly faster, and it lends itself to the genre of Hammer House style vampire storytelling. So 480 by 208 is 2.39 to 1. I'm probably going to stick with that in the future rather than doing 16 to 9, just because it speeds up the process. But that's the first size I aim for, and then I shove that through the upscaler with a double upscaling, and it gets up to 1080p or 1920 on the longer edge really, and less, you know, whatever is the 2.39 to 1 ratio of that on the shorter edge. And then USDU if I need it, which is about, on this size, it's at 1080p. I can run it through an upscaler that doesn't upscale but adds detail at about 0.2 denoise with WAN model, and takes about 25 minutes. So it's not something I do unless I have to. But, you know, there's a lot of problems we're running into, and I'll tell you the biggest bugbear for me at the moment is character consistency. Like, admittedly, I hadn't decided on my characters at this stage. It took me until this shot. Once I got these ladies working, I was like, oh no, this is my character for sure. She's too much double chin going on, but I live with it, and they look a bit the same. And then I went back and started trying to fix these and just couldn't do it, because it starts at a distance, and I have to blur. Started at a distance. I could probably fix it better actually. I forgot that I only blurred the bit, but it's still, I fixed the end shot and it just flashes off them to the end shot. So there's all these things you end up fighting, and then even this one doesn't really keep her face the same as she moves forward. Could probably fix it a bit, but it's a lot of fighting to have to do, and same with this guy.
What are you two wondering about dressed like that for?
Sorry, same with this guy. It's, I wasn't happy with him. The moment I got to this shot, sorry, I get all these wild music I put in it, testing it all out on the music and everything. Yeah, his sort of face, smiley face version of him, I went, oh no, I like this guy, I like this guy. So now trying to get him back into these and push it back in, it's just a big job, and it's not that easy to do and get it to work right. And you've got,
I'm supposed to be somewhere.
You've got this kind of plastic look still, and this is with LTX 2.3 now. I think I changed to 2.3 here. I think this was where they changed. And this one was with 2.3, and this one was, you know, I went back and had the filler. And here's another thing, right? I was going to do this and make it into a 5-minute shortened video version of Vampires 1974 film, 5-minute version, done and dusted, and then kind of, if it worked, just start doing other episodes, just recreate Hammer House horror stories. Checked in with ChatGPT, it's all fine to do copyright like that, as long as you don't go near their music or their visuals. You can actually use the story to some extent. So that was fine, and I stray off it. I've got my own ideas, but it was just gave it a backbone to work from, and also an aesthetic and so on, which I kind of like. And I also want to bring in music, as you noticed in that. I really kind of turn it into a music video. But this is the opening sequence, which I had planned to be the entire thing, but what happened was working it out, the whole story from start to end, and as soon as I started doing it, and it was too much to fit into 5 minutes. It just didn't work. It needed flow, and then I started padding it out, and the next thing I know, it's 5 minutes and I haven't even finished the opening scene, and I'm to the bats. So there's a lot to go still. I'm going to continue working with it because I'm enjoying it. There's also a bit with the NSFW. It took me a while to work out how to do NSFW. The only issue really, LTX 2.3 is fine with nakedness. I didn't know that, but the problem is the text encoder. You need to change it for the Gemma one to the obliterated, or I've got the heretic in there, and then it was fine. I've got them misted out, but then the problem you've got is how you introduce it without it being stupid and cheesy or inappropriate, and this is something for me to learn. Let's talk through things a bit. The music of this start one, I had a few ideas. It's that's very Hammer horror, isn't it? A very good starting way. I like it. I slowed it down in the video, as you've seen. Nothing wrong with that. Happy with that shot. Great, we've got one. Next one, this lot. Now, they end up, the thing I noticed about LTX is it tends to make people look the same, and as you noticed in one of the shots, the women, trying to get the women to speak separately is quite challenging, and like you've got twins, which actually works for the story if I want it to, but I'm not sure I want it to, and I don't want it overdone, and so there's a lot of kind of challenges in this. Yeah, they kiss and blah blah blah, we've got all that. Now here's another new thing I'm discovering. I've seen it happen twice, and it happens in this one and a later one, and I'll show you them both. Watch how he runs. There's a weird, LTX can't do people running for very long periods. It makes them do this weird step. There it is. There it is. There it is. Did you see that? Let me show you in the later one. Here. He does it too. Hang on. There it is. There it is. They do weird things in the steps, and so it makes them look like they're walking funny. Yeah, I could not get it to end in the way I wanted it to, so I just chopped it off. But look, he does some weird, he doesn't walk right. His arms do something weird, and I'm discovering this. I don't know if LTX2 did it, but LTX 2.3 seems to do it. Or at least the models I'm using. I'm on the dev model with the distill. You'll see all the settings if you. I've kept the distill LURA. I've got rid of the other LURAs. I haven't seemed to need them since. I've changed the distill LURA to 0.6, I think it is, and done that across the board. And I'm using the dev model, but a Q5 KM quant version, I believe it is. Now, another thing I tried my hand at, which this might relate to the model, is not working at all, is the IC Union Control LURA. I cannot get it working. It will use the video. It's where you take a depth map or a pose or canny of a video, and then you restyle the video with an image of your choosing, or a prompt. I can do it with a prompt, that's fine, but it's not what I want. I want it to use a reference image, and everyone else has got it working, and nothing I do can make that work with a reference image, and I'm not sure what's wrong with it. So that's another thing I've got to look into. This video, nothing to say about that, nothing to say about that. Here's another one. I didn't decide on this shot for a Mini Cooper, but afterwards I had to keep the Mini Cooper as consistent as possible and struggled. I did struggle with the guy. I tried to get him back in as this curly-haired blonde guy, and that's as best as I got. And for the life of me, I could not get him on the other side of the car driving. But the trick to that is just to switch the video over, reverse it, and you've got him on the right. But it's not, I want more control than that, and I'm finding prompting, and look at that car type. It's not really a Mini Cooper. It's some kind of weird bastardization version. This, on the other hand, gave me a great Mini Cooper, so I used that one, but then it started sticking extra people getting in the wrong seat. So there's all these fights I have with it. This one I did recently, it worked okay. It's just he's pulled up and I've got to put some sound in there. Sound really helps. I'm discovering all the little things, creaks and, ambient sounds really help the brain sit with the image better. So it's something to include in everything. And I'll be learning more and more about that as we go. I also discovered just huge gaps that don't work, or I put this shot in because in this I have him at some point going, oh, hello, who are these two? Or something like that. And it just didn't work. And I was like, there's something not right with that. It's like, oh, right, we haven't seen the guy yet. So I stuck him in here. And, okay, now we've seen him. But it still doesn't work. I don't know if you noticed that. It still felt wrong. I think you need to see the person early on speaking rather than just hear them. So I'll either cut that out or address it. But I actually have to address this shot because it looks nothing like the women.
What?
That's crazy sounds that came with it that I've overdubbed. This fighting with this to get this woman in here and getting him looking at them was just hours and hours and hours of work. And then he spoke too fast. I wasn't happy with it, but it kind of worked, so I've stuck with it. But it's the wrong guy. These things, you can spend so long trying to fix them. Again, I mean, now I've got light here that shouldn't be there. This is another thing where the time of day keeps changing, even though I tell it. And it just, suddenly it makes it night, even though I've said it's early evening. And you've just got to change all this in as much as you can and leave the bits you can't be bothered with. And then it's stuck housing in the back. And then these two are different by the time it gets there. Yeah. And then in the car, it's just so boring. And it's like he needs to say more. And I've not been able to make it work with him saying more. And also looking in the mirror, this is all wrong. He's supposed to be looking in the mirror, but somehow that's wrong. And then he looks away and him still looking in the mirror. It's like, it just doesn't understand mirrors and stuff like that. So you've got it's these little things, let alone this probably isn't anything like a Mini, and I've been changing seats in almost every shot to fix this stuff up, and it's just so tedious. Look at this dodgy work I'm doing fixing the scene outside up. It's like, it's hard work. It's way more work than I want to be doing, and this is just, then I have to step back and take time off and think, like, what was I trying to do at the beginning of this idea? I've lost my way. And it's really challenging. And then the whole idea was to get to dialogue scenes. And I've done 3 opening scenes for things and done very little dialogue. And that's another thing I've noticed is Seed Dance 2's been out a little while. And how much dialogue has anyone done? I saw, none is the answer. I saw... This whole stories live on dialogue. You cannot get away with that for long. So it's essential. And I've seen the Chinese producing results with Seed Dance and everyone going, oh my God, China's racing ahead of us. Look at the dialogue. It's shit. Shit. Even though most Chinese dialogue's just weird anyway, Chinese films. But it's particularly shit. And it's really obvious. The action scene's brilliant, amazing. But the dialogue, And this is a problem because if they can't do it yet, we certainly can't. I mean, I'm sure it can be done better than I can do it. But, I want it easier. And then look at this. The first shot is the right people. I spent time doing that, getting them in there. But then how do you if you want the car to drive past, where do you put... Did you make a last shot and then fake the last frames and suddenly he's a woman and who the hell are these two? It's really difficult stuff and the speed it's going as well. You've got to think of strategic workarounds in the end, and what I'll probably do is practice my Da Vinci masking and just mask these out with something that looks believable and track it through so you can't actually see the drivers. I'm not sure another way. This one, I had his face in, and it took a lot of effort to get this guy sat here showing, and in the end I've had to zoom in to get away from him. But I also like the blur that it's done on this, the aesthetic, and I'd like to get back to thinking about the aesthetic, but I can't because I'm so busy thinking about the shit that it's giving me that I'm trying to fix. And the delay in them talking just felt weird, and you know, you can't cut it because then it jumps. So I might have to redo it. I don't know, or add more talking. Not sure.
I'm supposed to be somewhere.
I liked it when it had the original music and he's talking, but sounds like an Aussie.
I'm supposed to be somewhere. But why not? What harm could it do? Hey?
And his talking sounds better, but I need it English. So, you know, things. This one, I just mucked about with. I mean, it's just them running down the corridor, and I had to do quite a few goes because I had to put this through the USDU because a face at that distance turning falls apart with LTX 2.3 at that distance turning. And when she turns again, but the USD, you know, it's worth the 25 minutes for a fix-up because it didn't lose anything. It improved everything. And that is a brilliant little trick. And they look good all the way through. This guy, I love it. My favourite shot, probably, because it's just the expressions were perfect for what's going on. It's like, what the hell? Yeah, I love it. So, I mean, you get good moments. And then I like this. Because it's unexpected and you've kind of gone, oh, what's this cheesy guy done here? And then suddenly you got, oh, hang on a minute. And it fit with the music as well. So it's, yeah, great. Watch what her leg does, though. I don't know what she's doing. She's kicking the door open or something. Kung Fu kicking the door. Then he's walking some more. And then having the door open, this was a huge fight too. And I've had to USDU this one because it looked like these plastic dolls were going out of a door and then the door slams shut, which I think it does. Yeah, and it wouldn't leave the door alone, whatever I told it. But it looked really plasticky in the first few goes of that. Yeah, just kind of weird. All their legs were doing weird things, but got it working good enough. And then the bats, which I've completely robbed this and then inverted it from a green screen thing. I was wanting white bats, and that was another discovery that it doesn't know what white bats are, so it gives you mosquitoes. Really? Let me see if I've got a version of it. No, I haven't. Oh well. And then I've got some sexy stuff that I won't bore you with, and you know, this goes into the next phase and the story continues. So that's where I've got to with it. I've got to admit, it's end of March and I hoped I'd be a bit happier with things than I am. I have to say it's fairly fast considering this time last year, well, actually May last year I was working on Footprints in the 17. I spent 80 days doing that, and it was 10 minutes and half of it was a music video, and it was a slog. But it was fun because no one was able to do that at the time. But now the expectations are getting higher and we need to do better and we need to edit more to make it look better, and it needs to start looking more professional, and the bar is raising, which is great because that's what's supposed to happen and we're supposed to up our game and learn. But the trouble is I'm not feeling that we're capable of reaching the quality we need to be able to reach yet with what we have. I'm not blaming the tools because I could switch my hardware and go to WAN and go to others, and I'd find my way there, but the amount of work you're having to put in is insane. And I'm not actually convinced subscription offers that much better because I'm not seeing anyone produce convincing results yet, and it's not a worry, but it just means you have to question how much time and energy you're going to put into achieving a certain quality that can't be achieved. But this is also why I'm going to stick with the I've got to force myself to do more dialogue. That's another thing I'm going to do next, in the next coming months. So I have to revisit this quarter, look at what's worked, look at what hasn't, and consider everything moving forward. And I think that I'll probably leave it there for you today. I'm starting to feel a bit barky again, and hopefully in a few days I'll feel better and can give you some more stuff. But that's a kind of review of the 3 months, where I'm up to with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I will be continuing. I did think about parking everything and just going away and coming back later when stuff's better, but I think I'll continue with it because I need to drive myself to do more dialogue and see what I can learn about making that work. And I also need to do the sexy scenes and see how that works in terms of how minimal chili application you can make it and still make it come across and make it work or not. We'll see. Yeah, this is called Sapphires. That was the idea. It may or may not see the light of day and be put into a video of its own. I don't know. We'll see how good I can get it. But the biggest problem for me at the moment is character consistency. It's awful, diabolical even, and it's very hard. And Laura's won't save the day, because if you've got a shot with 3 people in, your Laura's will bleed unless you can mask them, and there's no real way to do that. And that is one area where subscription seems to have it really sorted out. You've seen all these videos with people doing amazing things with all the actors and they look perfect. We haven't got that, and we're not even close, and I don't know why, and I'm kind of curious about that. And I wonder if it's something I've missed along the way that I should be using. But I'm not sure how, because otherwise it'd be around already rather than some secret thing. But yeah, character consistency is a major blowout with this at the moment. All the other things I think just require better user skill, whereas that I think is tool based still, because I can't use a lot of the tools I would like to, because I just simply don't have the GPU power, and most of you won't either probably. That'll do for today. I will share those workflows. I hope you got plenty out of it. I said I'd go through the workflows for the other guys, but I think you have to wait for another day, because I'm starting to feel a bit rough, to be honest. So that'll do for today. I'll catch you in a few days when I can find the energy to make another video. Thank you.
We have visual on approach now. Run full surface scan as soon as you have range.
Range in 3, 2, 1. Running full scans. Scans show no life, no traffic. My God, even the cities are gone.
That isn't possible. Run the scans again. An extinction event would have registered a bigger signature. There's Ulysses. Come in, Ulysses. This is Gideon, over.
Reading you loud and clear, Gideon. What the hell are we looking at down there?
Hard to say, but it doesn't look good.
Sir, the scans is back and final reading confirms no life, no ocean reflectivity, no cities, no structure. This is an extinction event, Captain.
My God, that's 10 billion souls. Visual suggests it's ash-covered, but no volcanic activity was mentioned in the report, and there is no debris field. Confirm last contact timestamp.
Request to investigate came 72 hours ago, Captain. Report said planet went dark, no warning.
Do you have space defense on board, Gideon?
We do. I'll arrange a team to head down there and check it out.
This is Captain Sebastian Halbert. Will Commander Sullivan please report to the briefing room on level 6 immediately? That's Commander Sullivan to report to the briefing room on level 6 immediately. Thank you.
The headlines. Arsenal beat Sheffield United 3-2 to strengthen their grip on the championship. At Twickenham, the Australian Wallabies beat England by 11 points to nil. And there's another Test match century for the great Don Bradman. Our Sports Report headlines today. Arsenal's slide continues. A goalless draw at home to Queen's Park Rangers keeps them in third place. Liverpool are foiled at last, but it's rain that beats them at Derby. Celtic's Frank McAvenny scores twice, past two Rangers keepers, as Celtic win the Old Firm rematch. And the rest win the trial at Twickenham to confuse the selectors, but no such problems for the Scots at Murrayfield.
What are these two up to?
Barclays League Division 1. Arsenal 0, Queen's Park Rangers.
Two Rangers keepers.
What are you two wandering about dressed like that for in this weather?
And the rest win the trial at Twickenham.
You'll catch your death of cold.
But no such problems for the
Can I give you a lift?
at Murrayfield. But one thing never changes on Sports Report. The classified football results are always the next item. They're read, as they've been for the last 13 years, by James Alexander Gordon.
Where can I take you then, ladies?
It's not far. Turn here.
You can come in if you like. Maybe then we can thank you properly for the lift.
It's supposed to be somewhere. But why not? What harm could it do, hey?